Welcome to Your Health is Your Wealth. My name is Argo Duenas, and I'm your host for today. I'm also the owner of Back to Nature Health and Wellness Center, located at 115 Ridgely Avenue here in Annapolis. We offer a variety of services and have been serving the Baltimore, D.C., Virginia, Eastern Shore area for over 30 years. The mission of this program is to not only provide health promoting information, but also to present positive images and inspiring interviews. And I am truly happy to have as my special guest today, Ayana Harrison. She is an author, a metaphysical counselor. She is a certified wellness coach. She's a community activist, and she is also the owner of Ayana Wellness Center in Baltimore, and also my dear friend. Thank you, Ayana, for taking time out on this rainy Monday morning, or Tuesday morning or afternoon, but I am eternally grateful to you for coming from Baltimore to share a very powerful message of self-care today. So before we talk about the wonderful work that you're doing in the community, touching, moving, and inspiring all of us to take better care of yourself, let's talk a little bit about Ayana. Let's talk about your upbringing, your family, where you're from, and what were some of your goals and aspirations as a young person?
Well, that's a whole lot.
Yes,
Argo.
it is, but I know you can handle that.
I will start, and I want to just thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share with your listening audience. And, also, we're living in some very critical times right now.
Absolutely.
So I thank you for allowing me that opportunity, and I thank you for being my sister in spirit. Well, my story begins in the projects of Baltimore. In my early childhood, I was very curious about a lot of different things. As a matter of fact, my family has, my oldest sister, who's not with us right now, used to say, and my mom, that I was a daydreamer. Well, fast forward today, I think I was meditating. I was ahead of my time. So as I grew up, I always had an interest in science, particularly biology. And then I always had an interest in being an entrepreneur. So in the back of my yearbook, everyone had to write a little note about their career and what they wanted to be. And in my career, I said I wanted to go in business for myself. So that was at the age of 17 or 18. It had to be 17 because my birthday is in July. But anyway, so I always had a curiosity about the body and how things work and that sort of thing. So earlier on in life, I began to explore things. In my 20s, I began to do transcendental meditation. I began to do some studying about the body and yoga and herbal medicine, and experimented with herbs myself by growing some. So that was my initial interest in the field. And as I've gotten older, I've just kind of stuck with it. Sometimes you start off with an interest in something and you may deviate a little bit, but there's always something that draws your spirit back into it. And so that's what's happening. So 45 years later, I am still doing what I feel that the Creator has allowed me to do.
Absolutely.
And to over the past 45 years.
Your story is compelling because your story is our story. Many of us come from backgrounds. I grew up in projects of Philly at an early age. Family from Annapolis, though. My mom married a young sailor. They moved to Philly. And then my grandparents brought us back to Annapolis. And then I went to Annapolis High School. And then I got into nursing for a little bit at Crownsville State Hospital. But Ayana, was there any defining moment in your life? Because for me, there was a defining moment that just redirected my path. I embarked on a journey to heal myself because I had a lot of health issues at early age, like allergies, cystic acne, chronic gut problems, and really severe depression. Was there any type of defining moment in your life that guided you more into natural therapies?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As you know, I have identical twin sons.
Yes.
But when I was in my early 20s, I was told that I could never have children. And at that time, the doctor suggested that I have a hysterectomy.
Wow.
And at that time, I said no, I didn't want to do a hysterectomy. So fast forward, I got married, and over the years, my husband and I, we never conceived of a child. And then all of a sudden, I popped up pregnant.
At what age?
43.
43.
43, I popped up pregnant. But prior to getting pregnant, I had gone to see a lady named Amaji from India.
Yes.
And Amaji, they refer to her as the hugging saint. And she speaks no English, but wherever she goes, she generates a lot of love and compassion. And so a friend of mine had mentioned her to me and said, you need to meet Amaji. So I went to see her. Thousands of people always come to see her every year. And she comes to Washington every year. You're familiar,
yes, I am
yeah.
familiar. Absolutely.
So I went to see Amaji after staying in line for a very long time. And the minute I got to her, I could just feel my soul open up, because all she did was radiate love. And she greets everyone with a real hug. Not a pat on the back hug, but a real embracing, sincere hug. And in that hug, she chants a mantra. And sometimes she'll give you a mantra that's handwritten in English, but she whispered in my ear, "Oh, my darling, 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 darling." And that energy radiated throughout my entire body. And in that moment, I felt something had transformed.
Wow.
So after meeting Amaji, for about 2 weeks, I would wake up in the morning and I would just cry. And then I shared with my friend that I was feeling this experience. And he said to me, "Ama, open up your heart chakra."
Wow. What is the
heart chakra, well, we have chakras all over our body,
Okay.
energy fields. And it's not just the 7 major chakras. We have energy fields all over the body. And they start at the base of the spine and they go all the way up to the crown of your head. So the heart chakra is the energy field within the body, because they're all energy wheels that operate in the body. And sometimes these wheels get stuck. This is the simplest way I can explain it. Sometimes those wheels get stuck because feelings and emotions is really my area of primary interest. And I had been holding on to some anger, some resentment about some things in my past life. And in that moment, I didn't realize it when I first met Ama, but I realized that at some point I was releasing some anger, some resentment, some shame, some blame from the past. And that's what the crying was about. That was a cleansing of those emotions and feelings. And right after that, voila, I got pregnant.
What a miracle.
I became pregnant right after that. And I attribute that to my release of all those feelings that I had. And the crying was a process in which I needed to have that done. And to my amaze, I was able to have identical twin sons.
How old are your sons now?
They'll be 29.
That is amazing.
In December.
At age 43.
43. I was about 5 months shy of my 44th birthday.
Wow. Wow.
So
that is amazing.
that was my first real experience of really connecting with the mind-body-spirit connection from a healing perspective.
And we are more than just our physical bodies.
Oh, absolutely.
We are mind, body, and spirit.
Oh, absolutely.
And in today's world where there's so much stress and people are taking all kinds of medications, prescribed medications, to numb their pain and their emotions. You have in your wellness center, we're going to talk about your wellness center now. You have a wellness center in Baltimore. Can you tell us a little bit about your wellness center and this amazing emotional release program that you have developed?
Well, at the spa, we do a variety of treatments. As you know, we do the massage therapy, detoxification, we do nutritional counseling, we do far infrared treatment, we do reflexology, we do touch therapy, we do sound healing therapy. But the emotional release treatment, I feel, is the one that's most beneficial Because people don't realize, some people don't realize that their diseasiness or their illness is directly tied to something emotional. Now, the Center for Disease Control, and I'm paraphrasing, but you can Google it, 85% of all illnesses have an emotional component, and that includes chronic illnesses like cancer. So we know that stress, we know that anxiety all impact on how the body is going to flow and function naturally according to how it was designed to do.
So would you say now Western medicine is integrating with some of the ancient healing arts like the yoga, meditation,
sound therapy,
the
yes.
healing arts,
Yes.
acupuncture,
Yes.
chiropractic?
Yes.
When I was working at the Naval Academy in the early 80s, I started getting chiropractic treatment, and my boss was a retired GYN doctor, but he got into civil service as an occupational health doctor. So I managed that occupational health center at the academy. And when I would, we became friends, and when I would tell him I was going to see a chiropractor, he actually went ballistic. He would say they're charlatans, they're not doctors,
Quacks, yeah.
But now fast forward, that was in the 80s. Now chiropractic is being covered and acknowledged by the medical system and the insurance.
And so is acupuncture.
And so is acupuncture, yeah. So it is important, I think, for us to continue to raise the health awareness about these therapies that are out there to bring the body back into balance, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I think this awakening, even in the work that I do, I see a lot of young people. I was young once, so I understand their struggles of feeling anxiety, of trying to find some identity, of trying to navigate in the world. But it's not like it was back in my day. These young people are coming in, and the blessing is, Ayana, I'm seeing a paradigm shift in the consciousness of our young people. They are opening up more to many of the natural therapies, like detox, like reflexology, like the work that you do, the work that I do. And I am committed, and I know you are committed. You've been doing this work for as long as I have been, to raising the health awareness. I want to get back to your emotional freedom technique, because there's one called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. I went down to Edgar Cayce. Edgar Cayce's institute down there in ARE down there in Virginia Beach. And I took a class down there, that was many years ago, but of tapping. Now, what's the difference between what you do? I mean, the objective is the same.
Well, the objective, I think the process is different, and there's no real one process or one way to connect with your inner spirit. Right. There's no one modality. Right. I mean, I found mine to work through just allowing myself to be spiritually guided. I felt something intuitively with a client of mine, and I experimented with her, and she said, "Oh my God, this is great. You need to do this for people." And so at first I was a little reluctant because I hadn't formalized or formatted anything. It was just that my spirit, as I was working with this person who had a rare case of cancer and had 5 of her organs removed, and she does not mind me disclosing this because it's not a breach of confidentiality. I'm not mentioning a name here. But she had 5 organs removed, and she was taking chemo. They were actually shipping it to her house. She was told she would be on it for the rest of her life. So during one of my coaching sessions, I asked her, I said, have you ever thought that maybe there's some emotional feelings and things that you're still holding on to that you may not have released? And she said, yes, there's a possibility. And as I continued to coach her, some things came up. And so Spirit said, what we need to do now, we need to find a way to get these things out. And so I developed a technique specifically for her. We did a meditation We did some sound therapy. We did. I also am trained in hypnosis. We did some self-hypnosis to the extent that she was able to actually go through a process where she was able to speak to those feelings that she'd been holding on. And so she was the one who said, you know, you really need to do this for people. It helped me. And so that began the emotional release treatment. Each person that I do the treatment with, I allow my intuitive self to guide me to what I need to do for that particular individual, because no two people are alike.
Absolutely.
And so I've actually had situations where I've actually put women in birthing positions to actually birth out a particular feeling. That's been very successful. I've worked with men, and I've had situations where, you know, men, you can't put them in a birthing position, of course. But I've had men who've actually, during the hypnosis session, have gone back to a childhood experience and have called that forth to eliminate it. But it's a process, and I can't give all of the specific details because, again, it's tailored to a person's receptivity, first of all, if they're not receptive to do it, because I won't do this with everyone. If you're not open and receptive to trying something that might work, and you have to feel like it's something that you've identified and something that you really feel that you need to release, that you've been holding on for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, long. And I've even had someone who was 80 years old who came to me who was holding something from the time she was 17. So it's not about the young people, though. I think the young people are more open because of the onset of the internet. They're exposed to things that we weren't exposed to, and they have what you call a paradigm shift and the new norm. So they're willing to accept things, whereas when we were coming up and you told someone you did meditation or you believe that thoughts are things, you got that little, oh, what's going on with her kind of thing. But nowadays it's more open. There's more talk about it. Young people are more into diet. Some of them are vegans and, practicing different ways of eating healthier. So I believe that if you faithfully and passionately pursue something that does not exist, that you can create it.
I'm right.
I know you are.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
listening,
Yeah.
and I'm in total agreement with what you're saying. And I am truly an eternal optimist, because I do see our young people really seeking therapy, seeking help, wanting to make a difference in the world. And I'm also seeing the other side of that, where a lot of our young people are developing age-related diseases and leaving the planet. They're, in my opinion, leaving the planet way too soon. But I still believe in my heart and in soul, it's about the evolution of the soul. I've had also worked with a lot of young people, just people from all different walks of life. Even the work that I do, we can agree that cellular memory is locked
Absolutely.
in the cells of the body, in this solar plexus. And that's, I've had my own story. I got a story. We all got a story. But when the traumas and dramas of the past gets locked in cellular memory and we're not able to release it or heal it, then we're reliving that every day. We have everyday triggers that keeps us in that same consciousness. And I'm so grateful to you, the work that you're doing, in empowering people to take charge of their life and their health. You do a lot of work in the community with seniors. So you are truly a community activist. Do you want to talk about the work that you're doing now in the community?
Yes, in 2012, I started a companion program for seniors, and this was not about doing cleaning or anything like that. It was just about, connecting with them in a way that nobody else connected to them. Oftentimes you reach a certain age your family members, your children start telling you what they think you should do and how you should feel, and take you to the doctor, take your medicine, sit you in front of the TV. So the purpose of the Senior Companion Program was to give seniors a voice and a seat at the table and to begin to express their feelings and their emotions. So in 2012, I sponsored myself a senior speak out forum. And we used the Delaney sisters as our role model for that.
Tell us a little bit about history about the Delaney sisters.
The Delaney sisters they lived to be, I think, 100. They were both over 100. One died and then the other died. Wow. But these were sisters who practiced yoga. You know about the Delaney sisters. They practiced yoga and they were very, very, very close. And so we wanted to honor them. So we did the forum in honor of the Delaney sisters. Both of them have since passed. But they were certainly an inspiration. Their minds were very active. Their bodies were somewhat flexible because they did practice yoga. And they talked about the benefits of doing yoga. And I think one had married and the other had never married.
Right.
Yeah, which was interesting.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so we had a panel of about 8 seniors, ranging from the age of 80 all the way up to the 90s, and each one of them picked a topic and spoke about the topic. One spoke about nutrition, one spoke about faith, one spoke about exercising, and one talked about how people treat you when you get a certain age. They talked about senior abuse. And we invited the agencies who work with seniors to be in the audience. Baltimore City Department of Aging, people like that, to come and you listen to them rather than have them in the audience listening to you. So it was quite powerful and quite successful. Since that time, I've had 3 of them who've transitioned, 2 at the age of almost 100 and 1 at 103.
Wow.
And I have 3 that are still living.
So much in the community, not only working with seniors, but young people. But one thing I really want you to focus on, too, is you are so committed to teaching people the importance of self-care. This is a message that we want to get out today, because we don't have too much longer on my show is winding up. But please elaborate on the importance of self-care, especially for women.
Well, I think right now, what's going on in the world today in terms of, the crime, the hideous, gross acts on children, and what's happening in the political arena, and just with everyone, not just our young people, but everyone is affected by what's going on in the world today. This whole talk of hatred and racial biases, we're all affected by it. And you can be driving on the highway and you can see some of the anger that people have, trying to get, move and not paying attention and texting. And on the phone, it's gotten to the point now, the phone is a real detriment. It can really, people can really, in a split second, create a big problem. So the real self-care that I'm promoting is about really self-care, health-care is about self-care. If you want to improve your health, you got to improve self-care. Self-care is a consciousness, first of all, that I care about myself. I deserve to feel better, and to begin to look at what you're doing to continue to create a pattern of ill health. It's sometimes not about the medicine, and I would never suggest a person not to take medicine without consulting their doctor. But some people are just over-medicated. Average senior, 15, 20 pills a day. It's ridiculous. So we know that some of the medicine today, just from the advertisement, is the cause of other illnesses.
Absolutely.
And we know that our young people have the onset, as you said, of adult diseases now at 8 and 9 years old.
Absolutely.
Diabetes, high blood pressure. So this whole thing of self-care is mental, is not only just a physical taking care, mental, emotionally, psychologically, it's the whole, spiritually, it's the whole piece. So until we begin to address all of those issues, I think we're really going to be faced with a much bigger problem. We're at a critical stage right now. in life. And we can see that every time you turn on the news. People are angry. People are pissed off. And I think some of it may be due to over-medication. We know the opiate situation and what that has done.
Absolutely.
And that's been going on for a long time. It's just now getting the attention that it deserves, that it's earned,
Absolutely.
so to speak.
Absolutely.
So self-care is something that I think all people need to make a priority. It should not be an option.
Okay, talk to the women. Talk to us, because I truly believe that we've been indoctrinated and programmed as women to put ourselves last. You said we should make ourselves a priority and not an option.
And that's a challenge to do. And
Yes,
we
it
know
is.
that because we have children, we have grandchildren, we have husbands, we have mates. But, you know, when you look historically at the role of women, women have always played a pivotal role in the family. The woman was always the one to do the nurturing, to take care of the family. And the man was always the one to go out and plow the
Provide.
fields or do whatever. So when we know that in wars, women and children suffer the most. I mean, that's already been proven. Women and children in all wars, the women and the children suffer the most. And we see it in third world countries now with the women and in the children. So yes, women, and I'm speaking for myself as well with this, it has been truly a challenge for me to make myself a priority and not an option. And the only way that I can do that is through my faith that I cannot do all things, but I can do things through my spiritual strength
Yes.
and guidance. But sometimes women even miss the boat on that, because sometimes they think that they're listening to spirit or God, but they're listening to that old pattern of belief that she still has to do something.
Absolutely.
When we're told that you need to sit down sometimes, and sometimes you need to say no when you want to say yes, and say yes when you mean no.
Yeah.
So sometimes we play this game with ourselves, because I hear women all the time say, yes, I know I'm going to take better care of myself, Ayana, but there's always a but in between that. And I've learned that to trust the process of life, some things have to happen because they need to happen. And the path of life means that we're going to experience some pain, some discomfort, some uneasiness sometimes. And sometimes we just need to sit with that and let God work out what God has already worked out for that person or that individual, and trust the process. And I don't think we do enough of that. We don't trust the process. We take too much to heart. And that's
Absolutely.
another conversation.
Absolutely. Any final comments? Because I'm right there with you, my sister, of letting go and letting God. It is a challenge, because I have grandchildren, I have family members, and that has been my role. And I'm right now in the process of trusting and allowing people to take their own path, because they have to grow. So I say, I let go so that you can grow. So any final comments?
Well, the final comment on that is that women need to just find time to break the routine.
Yes.
We need to break the routine and the pattern of always being available. I think sometimes we make ourselves too available, even though we don't feel like it. And even that feeling of not feeling like it is that old recording, I gotta do it because of A, B, C, D, E, whatever the excuse is. Sometimes you need to just look out for yourself. Like if you're on the airplane, you got to put your mask on first. You can't help your family members if you're not putting your mask on. You need your oxygen. We all need the oxygen. So save some of that oxygen for yourself, because you're going to need it.
I thank you today, my sister. You have been a blessing, not only to me, but to all of us. Thank you for
Thank
your
you for
words
having
of
me.
wisdom.
Thank you for having
And thank
me.
you for always being there for me. And thank you for watching Your Health is Your Wealth. Remember, in this very present moment, we do have the power to take charge of our life and our health.